this part.
Definitely. Hello, everybody. This is Vivian Savior for another edition of GIFF Talk 2021. I've got Marium Ali with me, and she works as an art director in Pakistan, primarily on TV commercials. But we're so glad that she could take out the time and talk to us about art directing, the difference between that and production design, what's happening in Pakistan in terms of production design and art direction, and what the future holds for that. So, without any further delays, hello, Mariam. Thank you so much for joining us and taking out your the time that you have. Apart from your shoots and everything, I know that you're busy, but thank you so much for joining us. So
Hi,
I'm
Vivian.
just going to
Thank you
jump
for
into
having
it.
me here.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying hello.
Yeah. So I'm just going to jump into it. Art direction. How did you get into that? How did you decide to make that your life's work? And when was that sort of tipping point for you when you realized, okay, this is what I want to do?
Okay, so luckily I have studied design from Indus Valley. Um, I was a graduate of advertising design. So I've spent 4 years learning about design and graphics and all of that. But I never thought that I'd get into filmmaking, to be very honest. And I think 6 years after my graduation, this might sound a little lame, but I got into it by fluke. Uh, Met someone who was a director, and he I wasn't doing anything at that point. I had quit an advertising agency because it was just getting too much for me. I wasn't liking it at all, and I was teaching at Indus Valley as well at that time. So he asked me to come on board, and I started working with him, and that was the beginning about 16 odd years ago.
Oh wow.
So yes, it was by fluke, but now it's my life's work, and I can justify it to the ends of the world as to why I do it.
Wow.
So yeah.
16 years ago. That sort of that puts an age on me as well, because that's where I met you. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's it's funny.
Yeah,
So
let's not discuss
um,
the age.
yeah, let's just not go there. But you primarily working on TV commercials. Was that the first job as well for TV commercials? And
Yes, no, I
um,
started off. I think 90% I worked on TV ads. Although I have done music videos, and I have done films as well. I've done 5 films, but primarily, especially nowadays, for the past 5 years at least, I've just purely been working on TV ads, and I don't get
okay,
the
okay,
time. The all three genres, two at least, the TV and film. I think they require very different sort of commitment.
hmm.
So currently, I'm not saying I'd never do a film again, but currently it's TV ads for me.
Okay. So what are
With
the
different
specific
space.
challenges of what are the specific challenges of working on TV commercial like or a music video or say a film? I mean, obviously the time factor is the glaring obvious one, but other than
Hmm.
that, what's
What's
made
the
you
difference between
choose?
working
Yeah,
there?
what's the difference, and what made you choose just to stick with TV commercials?
It's not like I chose to do TV commercials as opposed to films. Like I said, I have done 5 films, but I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm not too woo about the kind of films that were being made. Now, very good films are being made. In the past few years, very good films have been made. But somehow, even though I was approached for a few of them, the timeline was such that I couldn't do it. And with TV ads, it's just been like it's it, there are a lot of TV ads happening. So usually I don't have the time to commit to a 3 month or a 4 month project. And one more thing that has happened is that while making films, the films that I have done, we had plenty of time. But now, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that you're getting barely any time for pre production, and the shoot is like 40 days and a feature film. I I don't buy that.
Hmm.
And people are doing it. I mean, definitely kudos to them who are doing it and who are putting out very good content there as well. But no, I can't do it. I need my time.
Hmm.
I need my
So,
time. Even in TV ads, I don't jump from one shoot to another with a gap of 1 day, let's say, unless there's like a crunch in the middle. That's not a normal practice for me, at
hmm,
least. People do that.
okay.
I can't do that. I need my time. I need to design. I need to think about the concept, design it properly, give it proper time. And even the execution, I need time for that. And well, it's in today's world, it's the producer's world. So people are not very happy with that thing, and they want, like, just
Hmm.
like design it and execute it in like a GIF. But yeah,
It doesn't
that
happen
is a
that way.
major challenge these days, actually,
Okay.
in TV
So,
ads and films both.
even well, I mean, yeah, definitely in commercials. Sorry, in narrative, but in commercials, isn't the whole point about commercials like the quick turnover? Like you can go from one project to the other. Isn't that one of the?
Yes, it is. But you see, it's not just the whole process of designing something and then putting it out there as a set or a um, set decoration or whatever it is. That's a process. I mean, from the moment I get a brief from the director and then to the final product, it's not I can think about five different concepts together on different ads with different director briefs.
Mm,
I don't like to do it that way. For me, I need to focus on one thing. So
okay.
yes, I mean, when I say this, when I say I need time, the max time I get is like 5 days or 6 days, maximum. So yes, the turnaround is still super fast. So
Okay.
it's not
So
like I'm
this.
not saying I do one project in a month. No, I'm still doing
Mm,
5 or 4 projects in a month, but at least I need that pre time of 3 4 days to absorb the concept, think about it. Sometimes I think that I'm an architect. I mean, the way I sit and design sets and measurements, and yes, it's been a learning process for me to now be able to do it super fast, as opposed to,
yeah.
let's say, a few years ago when it would take me more time. So those are the changes and those are the challenges.
This is a good segue into my next question about the process. Like, what is your step-by-step process? Obviously, there's not a cookie cutter approach,
Yeah.
and that can't really be for anyone who's watching this who wants to get into art direction. But what is your particular approach? Because obviously, you get the brief. There are directors, for commercials. Their way of thinking and approaching it is very different than obviously like a long narrative form. So what is your approach now to sort of breaking down that and executing it?
Actually, that's the fun part of doing what I do, that there is no cookie cutter approach.
Hmm.
So each project brings its own set of challenges and how to sort of get into it and how to design it after the brief. Sometimes budget is a problem, sometimes time is an issue, or just, well, I've been lucky that all the directors that I've worked with, almost all of them, I've had a very good rapport with. So whatever they have in mind, whatever they brief me about, I'm able to execute it almost the same as to what they wanted. So I've
Hmm.
been lucky in that aspect that my comprehension about their brief is good that way. As for the process, in very layman terms, yes, I get a brief, then I sit down with it, I do my research um, about. I recently did a TVC where I had to design a train, like a full on train, a proper train, like in Pakistan, we weren't allowed to go and shoot at a train station. Plus, the
Hmm.
director wanted a very Victorian Harry Potter
Oh, okay.
style of scene. So you don't
I
get
like
that
the
here.
Agatha Christie sort of
Yes,
Murder on the
exactly.
Orient Express.
Murder
Okay.
on the exactly, exactly. So for me, like designing a house, designing a room, designing a kitchen, that's still something that I'm used to. But designing a train is completely different. So we went, and I actually went to the train station. I got up on the train, I did my measurements and saw just the basic structure of it, proportions, and then I designed it according to what the brief had been given to me. And also, in TV commercials, because clients are involved. So one thing that happens in the middle is our approvals. So if I've designed a board, an art board or a mood board for a certain concept, for let's say a biscuit ad, right? So it goes with the director, with the storyboard, it goes to the client or the agency, and then they're okay, they're either okay with it or not okay with it, or they'd recommend changes. So uh, that is one thing that happens with TV commercials, that you have to go through a certain, the creative liberty is there, but
Hmm.
sometimes there's a glitch in there, because
Yeah.
you still have to abide by the, oh, our product is red, so we want red walls.
Hmm.
Dude, it's not going to work. But the brief is such, or the product, or the branding, all of that,
Hmm.
all of that comes in. So you have to, the process also includes that. I just cannot go into my own fantasy world. The director can't do that. You have to abide by a certain rule book,
Yeah.
or you know to,
Hmm.
so it's, that is also a challenge, to sort of incorporate all of that in. And sometimes even, and narratives are not just in films. uh, these days there's a lot of digital content happening, so that those ads are full of narrative, and there's actually a proper full on storytelling happening. So in incorporating a brand in that, a product in that, a biscuit or a cup of tea or a soda or a toothpaste, anything, I mean, you name it. So that has, that is a tricky part of the process. Anyway, so once the design is done and the mood board is okay, then we get on to the construction stage or the set stage. Most of the time, I mean, 80% of the time, I design my sets and they're made in the studios. But about 30-40% we're actually on location as well, and shooting, creating a scene at location or something like that. But even that needs to be done up. But I find it really exciting to actually imagine. Every time I've designed a trillion kitchens, but every time to make it look different, to
Hmm.
not let it be the same way as XYZ, the TV ad set that I did. So that's the interesting part, to think differently every single time for the same thing. And
Hmm. Because there are a lot of tea and biscuit ads being
oh
made.
yeah, I mean, it's Pakistan, so
Yeah.
the FMCG products are, that's what we live on. So
Hmm.
half the time commercials are made for those products. So so designing the sets, I usually do my own sketches, and then if I'm lucky, I get someone to make a 3D for me. Otherwise, I sit with my team of carpenters, I explain every single thing: height, width, proportion, material used. And most of the time I go and recce for my materials that are used on sets myself. I prefer that. So but I'm very lucky, I work with very good set teams who are on their toes, and they work day in day out. And most of the teams that I work with, they're all freelance. It's not like they're my team per
Hmm.
se, but they all know my mind now. So they're very good with me. Thank God, they're very good with me, and they're very efficient. And there are very few set teams in Pakistan, and they work round the clock, because their their ads being shot every other day. There's so many directors, there's so many art directors, and there are what, like 4 set teams. So for them, the real challenge is for them to do this,
Mm.
and with budget constraints and all of that, it gets really difficult for them. But they all pull through really well so far. So anyway, so once that is done, once the briefing is done, then the set team gets onto the floor. They start constructing. I'm pretty much there. We maximum get 4 to 5 days. This is a luxury when I get 4 to 5 days. Usually you have to design and execute the set in 3 days.
Oh,
Be it
wow.
be it anything. I mean, I've designed a huge, almost like a castle in 6 to 7 days, or a kitchen, a living room, a child's room, 5 shops, all of it in 4 days. So we're
Wow.
running from one floor to another throughout, because there are very few floors in Pakistan, and
Mm.
the
Yeah.
ones that are there, because there's so many ads being shot, half of them are booked, so the dates are an issue. So to manage all of that, you really have to stay on top of it, and if you can't multitask, you can't do this.
Okay.
So now you understand why I can't take up like 5 different projects in one go. Like,
Yeah.
but right now, currently, I'm in that phase where I have back-to-back projects, so my brain's multitasking for like the current project and the one a week later, and then the one a week later. So all
And
the
these are
these
just Yeah, and these are just the variables that pertain to filmmaking itself. But then obviously there's the social variables that or the societal variables that are there, like the last time electricity going, and then you're stuck, and you're like, okay, how do we
Yeah,
control something like that? You know,
yeah, you can't.
through
So
this.
half the time when we're on set working, we're working with jennies, because
Mm,
there's no electricity there, and so all of these things are there. But I think I need to pat myself on the back and my entire team for pulling this through every time. And this is a challenge that all art directors face, all production designers
mm,
face, and as an industry we face. Actually, it's not just me or art directors. As an industry, we face this, but we are overcoming it, and people are doing very good work in Pakistan, in Karachi especially. People are doing very good work, and keeping in mind that all these challenges are there. The directors, the light team, camera crew is sometimes working round the clock.
mm.
The light teams are
Yeah,
working
I know.
round the clock, so everybody is doing that. And if you actually see content coming out of Pakistan in terms of production value, it's excellent. I
Mm,
think we're at par with, in terms of production value, at par with our neighbors,
mm,
for example. Yes, our the film industry might not be there like Bollywood, but in terms of production value, what even in films, people are really working towards that, because everyone realizes how important that is. Yes, content obviously is important, but that is something which is, well, it's a different ball game altogether. The content that
mm.
comes out from anywhere, but I mean, content can be bad in Hollywood as well. You see all
Yeah,
the movies that have recently come out. I'm like, why? What's going on here? So content is a different game, but in terms of production value, I think we're doing amazingly. Especially, I
yeah.
can
With
say
the
that for TV commercials
Yeah.
and music videos. Even I did a
Mm,
music video for Coke a little while back, and we had our restraints and budget restraints and time restraints and whatnot, but the end result was very good. Sometimes that works negatively for us, because you're like, okay, you could pull that off in these conditions, then why can't you do that again? But
exactly. Yeah.
that's a different topic.
Again, it's we come back to that, not being a cookie cutter thing. Like one thing
Yeah,
doesn't fit all. It's
exactly,
not one of
exactly,
those.
exactly. So that
Mm,
has its pros and cons.
mm. So, Mariam, what again, in terms of like again, you went to art school and you studied that, and I know a lot of younger production designers and art directors are are in the field who have gone to
Hmm.
study. They've gone to art schools and they've either studied filmmaking or whatever. I know that there's no proper training ground for something as specific as production design or art directing or loads of other aspects of filmmaking. So what what does the future hold for Pakistan, where they're trying to push up the production value, they're trying to do all these things, but you also are sort of, is the industry held back by not having that sort of education or that exposure?
Exposure, yes. Also because we're still a growing industry, So even now, there are a lot of young people who are coming right now, and they're they're doing art direction projects left, right, and center. And sometimes the only thing is that I feel once you graduate and you're fresh and young, it's maybe better to sort of assist for a little while before you jump onto projects and say, it, because in this actually crazy world of um, fewer budgets and all of that, the producers and everyone in general would actually prefer having someone who charged less or something like that. And young kids, they're like, fine, we'll do it. But I think
Mm,
that compromises a production value on some levels. I mean, I'm not outright saying that they shouldn't do it, but I think it's better to kind of take baby steps. Yes, it's a
okay.
tough market. Yes, there's a lot of competition. But I mean, even now, Vivian, I've been working for 16 years and I feel I'm still learning. There are a lot of things that now, after so many years, I can say that, okay, fine, I have a good grasp on this and I can, you know, take this on with eyes closed. But to think like even 10 years ago, I couldn't think that I'd be in a position to take difficult decisions, make difficult calls regarding design, or be that confident about my design as compared
Mm,
to today. So I've worked under people. I've worked. I didn't assist anyone because at that time they, about
they
16
weren't.
years, they weren't
Yeah,
any art directors.
yeah. I
Actually,
think there were
that's
just a few. Yeah.
like
I mean, I
initially.
only remember Binish being there, and then maybe Tahir Ali, and a couple of other people, but not there weren't that many.
Yeah, there was just my mentor in terms of art direction would be Tahir Memo. He's in Canada now, and
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Tahir
Yes,
Mahmood, not Ali, not Tahir
yeah,
Ali. Yeah.
Venus has been working for very long, and Sadaf has been working for very long. Um, I got in way after them, uh, but I feel that now because there are more filmmaking schools and there are a lot more. When I was studying at Indus, there was no filmmaking.
Hmm.
Filmmaking was not offered at all, nowhere. And now it is, and all most of the assistants that I have are all filmmaking students. And I feel that you need to. It is very cutthroat, so you need to sort of, get into it slowly, and then I mean, by all means, go all out, but get into it because it's really important to get that work experience. You can't learn all of this in a classroom.
Overnight. Hmm.
Yeah, also in a just in a classroom, I mean, um, yes, in filmmaking schools in Pakistan you have thesis projects and all of that, and students do tend to, they have their projects, but to be actually in the practical field and to take on an actual project where you're responsible for things, that's different. It
Hmm.
teaches you things very differently as opposed to doing a assignment or a thesis or anything like that. So yes,
Mary, my last question is going to be on your inspiration, because obviously, for the whole process, for to approach any commercial or whatever, there's got to be something that keeps you involved and keeps you excited, especially when there's so many commercials that are being
I
made
am
where
a
you're.
visual. I'm a visual person. I watch a lot of films. I read a lot of books, and for me, it's about just looking at things. It's not a certain production designer. Yes, and to be very honest, half the time I don't know the names of all the production designers of famous films and all of that. But I mean, I'm being straightforward here. I don't. But yes, that is what kicks me completely,
Mm,
and just every day, just my surrounding,
mm,
and also the project in itself inspires you. Sometimes it makes you want to think differently and approach it with a difference. So, and also the I think another interesting thing is that whoever the director is, whoever the main person is, that also is an inspiration. I know I'm talking a little generically and not broadly, but this is how I see it.
I know that's fine. I mean, like whatever works for you,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there are different people who would, obviously they would have a different answer. But again, we come back to the same thing, that it's never one size fits all, and about being patient and sort of putting in the time and the effort to sort of know your craft and learning and growing. Because from all the talks I've had with other people that I know in filmmaking, it's always come to that. And again, uh, it's about filmmaking, and this is something that was told to me a couple of months ago, and something that I've taken on as a you know as a motto. In fact, is that filmmaking is not an intelligence based sport. It's a wisdom based sport, that the more you do it, the wiser you get. And that's how
Definitely.
you
Like I
grow.
said, you have to be in it to know.
Yeah,
You can't learn it
exactly.
sitting in a room
Mm,
or reading
yeah.
about what production design is or what filmmaking is. You have to actually do it.
Mm,
And
perfect.
every country, every industry has its set of challenges,
Mm,
and you
I'm
kind of
sure. Yeah.
mold yourself accordingly. And you take out your inspiration from that, because I can be inspired by Nolan, for example, but to make a film like Nolan here in Pakistan, I have my limitations, right? So inspiration's always great, inspiration's always there, but how you sort of fit that all of that in with your surrounding and with your particular nature of job, I think that's the tricky part, and that's if you can do that, then yeah, nothing like it.
Perfect. Well, we're going to end on that note. Not just a lesson for filmmaking, but I feel somehow it's a life lesson. How you can take, your inspiration
Yeah,
and mold it to the challenges of where you live. So, thank you so much for that,
I'm the teacher
Mariam.
once, so I have that tendency to talk like a teacher,
It's
if you
completely
remember.
fine. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and it was great seeing you after so long. And it's
Great
always
seeing you.
inspiring to see people from back when are doing such great work. So keep doing that, and hopefully there'll be a day when we're not doing this conversation over
Looking forward to that.
over computer screens, but with
Yeah,
in person with cups of tea. But thank you
definitely.
so much, and
Yeah, not your white
take
cup
care.
there in my little coffee shop here, but
Yeah,
actual live session.
exactly,
Thank you so
exactly.
much.
But
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you for having me, and I hope this was as you expected. So,
definitely, definitely,
and thank you,
it's
really.
always
It's
inspiring.
an honor for
Always
me to be
inspiring.
here.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.